All right, guys. The name of this sermon is going to be called When is the Baby Due? When is the baby due? When is the baby due? Some of you might be thinking, who's pregnant? But I will explain what I mean by that because this sermon isn't just for females. It has nothing to do with gender, really. This can apply to men and women both, male and female. I'm here to give you the answer to the question when you are due. When is your baby due? And it might not make sense at first, but just let me explain. Let me get deep into this. This is not going to be a very long sermon. I'm going to be in Jeremiah chapter 29. It's just one verse we're going to look at. Verse 11 is something you've heard quoted probably several times in the church. A pretty well-known verse here. So it says this, for those following along, or if you just want to listen, that's cool. It's just one verse. It says this, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. I'm here to let someone know, or some people know, that there is an end of all of what you've been going through. It is going to be a good end, and it is going to be an expected end. Here's what I mean. Whoever this sermon is for, regardless of who you are, male, female, black, white, gay, straight, tall, short, rich, poor, wherever you're from, whoever this is for, check this out. This is how you know that this is for you. Here we are. This is December 1st. This is the last month, of course, of the year, for the year 2019. And as this year is beginning to wrap up, some of you may have been looking back on how this past year has been. And there are two things that you've seen happen so much. But it's weird because these two things don't really coincide. They kind of contradict each other. They conflict with each other. And those two things is this. Number one, you have been blessed by the Lord. And number two, you have felt in a lot of ways very unblessed. And really what it comes down to is God has really blessed you this year, but you've also been very attacked by the enemy. You've been attacked by the devil. He has done things. Listen, he has used people to come up against you. There have been certain situations that have happened that have just been terrible. You've had some hardships go on in your life. It's been very rough. But it's weird because when you look back, you see both. You see God in your life. You see God's hand moving in your life. But at the same time, at the exact same time that things keep getting good and building up, it's almost like another half of your life is just being torn down. It just seems like the more you're blessed, the more hell keeps breaking loose. The more you're blessed spiritually, the more you go through spiritual warfare. The more you start feeling good and regaining your health, the more it seems like your health is being attacked. It just seems like if it's not one thing, it's another. And it seems like it's both happening at the same time. Being blessed and being attacked at the same time in such a way that maybe you haven't experienced it like this before. This is different. This year has been different. You look back, and this is how you know it's for you. You've been looking back. I'm not just telling you, hey, look back. You've already been looking back. You've already been looking back and thinking, man, this year is crazy. This year has been different. I've been blessed and I know God has been with me, but there have been some instances where it almost felt like he wasn't with me, even though I know he was, because it seems like every time I get blessed, there's always something. There's always something happening. As soon as I'm blessed financially, it seems like I'm attacked financially. And the more I'm blessed and the more I get favor with people, the more people keep starting to hate me and I start losing friends. The more, these people over here like me in the workplace, the more these folks over here hate me. it just seems like the more God is moving, the more things happen that makes you wonder, God, where are you at? You were just here. But it just seems like all this year has been like a continuous, like a seesaw effect almost. Like, okay, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, continuously. And you look back and you're just like, what? Like this, it's just different. It's been different this year. You've experienced ups and downs. You may have had a season where this was good, and then a season came where that was kind of bad, but then you had a season where, it might have got a little bit better, and then there was a period of time where it got kind of good, and then, you know what I mean? And that may have been how it was in past years, but this particular past year, it's just been a continuous seesaw, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It gets good, and then something crazy happens, and it's good, and something crazy. It's just a continuous, all in one season type thing. You know what I mean? It's like everything just starts to hit you and bombard you, and sometimes it's overwhelming. But one of the things that you've noticed about yourself is how you've been handling it. Even though it's been crazy, even though it's been one of your craziest years, and it just seems so weird and so different, you've noticed how you've handled it. You've noticed that you've handled things better than you ever have before in your life. You are more emotionally stable than what you have ever been in your life. You are more mature, come on, spiritually and in the natural more so than you ever have been in your life. Certain things are not hurting you and upsetting you and making you cry and making you angry the way that these things used to. Now you're going through harder things and things that have been worse, but it just seems like it just kind of bounced off you and you were just like, dang, that sucks. Well, moving on. You know what I mean? Some things that should have really upset you and tore you down and should have caused you to have a major standstill really didn't affect you the way it would have in the past. This year has been so different. The way you've been blessed, the way you've been attacked, but also the way that you've handled these things. Everything has been so different. And the fact that you've gone through all this year, and the fact that you've handled things so different this year means something. And I'm about to reveal to you what it means. And what it means is this. Even though you went through all that, it was good that you were afflicted because something good is about to come out of it. And what I'm here to let you know is this month, the last month of this year, this month, the Lord really is about to turn some things around because just as this year is starting to wrap up, it's starting to end, this period of all that you've been going through that's been building up, it is about to end. It is about to reach its pinnacle. In other words, you're about to reach the end of the madness because something great is about to happen. And I'm not just talking about something happening to you, but something is about to happen through you. And what I mean is you are about to give birth. Now, I'm not talking about a literal baby giving birth in the natural. I mean, spiritually speaking, you're about to birth out something. See, the reason why you've been feeling, whoever this is for, you've been having like a gut feeling about something. Like you know something is coming. You don't know what it is. You know God's got it, but you don't know what it is. But you got this feeling that something is up. You just know it. You know spiritually something is up. God must be up to something for all this to be happening. God has not brought you this far to just leave you hanging, and you have such a faith that he's not leaving you where you're at. You know you need help. You know you're at a position where the only person that can help you is God to move forward into something and to get out of something that's trying to push you up against the wall, making you feel like there's there's no way out. You need a way out of some situation that you're in. You need God bless you to bless you one more good time to get you out of this situation that you're in. You're trying to stay afloat. You're trying to keep it together. You're doing all you know how to do. And I'm letting you know that all this is not for nothing. It's not a coincidence. You've had this stirring inside of you. And I'm just letting you know that it is coming to an end. There is a new beginning because, of course, with an ending comes a new beginning. And just as you birth out this new thing, it just opens the door for opportunities for you to walk right on through out of one situation and into something better. So this isn't just about God bringing something to you, although that very well can happen and possibly will, but it's not so much about what's happening outwardly. It's about what's happening inwardly and what's been building up and what is actually about to be brought forth out of you. In other words, what's in you is about to be brought out of you, and what's in you is about to bless you. We talk about God blessing us outwardly so much, and sometimes inwardly when it comes to things like healing and deliverance and things of that nature. But there's something different, something out of the ordinary, because this has been a different kind of year. So there's something different that's about to happen that's going to be a blessing. And it's not, like I said, so much about what's going to come towards you, but rather what's about to come out of you. What God has placed in you and what has grown and what is about to be birthed forth, what is about to burst forth. That is the thing that is going to bless you. What is about to bless you is in you. It just hasn't made its way out yet, but it is coming. So again, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So the three things you got to get out of it, of that verse, is God has an end of all this mess. Not saying that life is about to just be easy from now on and it's going to be a bed of roses. I'm not saying that. But this wishy-washiness, this seesaw effect, all of what you've been going through is building up to something, and it's about to be brought to an end. So there is an end of this coming, and this last month really represents this last go around of this. This is the end of this. As this year begins to close out, you're going to see some other things, some individual things, and an overall thing come to an end. Some negativity come to an end. Certain types of warfare coming against you is coming to an end. Certain things that have been a hindrance to you, whether it have been your health or your finances or certain issues with certain people, it's going to start to come to an end. And so that's the first thing. It is coming to an end, and it is happening this month. But also, again, he said, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil. So it is a good ending. It is a peaceful ending. What God has for you, he has an end of all this, but it is not going to break out into a bunch of evilness. You know, a lot of times we talk about how sometimes things have to be really bad before it gets good. And so understand that what you've gone through, you've experienced the bad, but this ending, bad does not have to come out of it. Evil does not have to come out of it before you experience something good. This is not an evil thing that has to play out before the good. That's not what's about to happen. You've had enough evil already. Now it's time for a good ending, a peaceful ending. Not a chaotic ending, not a bunch of chaos that finally simmers down into something good. See, that's what a lot of people are used to. A lot of times people are used to being in a situation where when something ends, it has to end in chaos, and then it has to settle down, and when all the debris is swept away, then it can be good and quiet and peaceful and fun and joyful. No, 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 no. This is a good, peaceful end that requires no evil. There's no necessary evil, so to speak, with the ending that God has for you. It doesn't have to be chaotic. There doesn't have to be any sabotage or self-sabotage. There doesn't have to be any type of sad soap opera type ending. It is a good, peaceful ending. And finally, the third thing about it is that it is an expected end. And what I mean is this, listen, you may have had some experiences and encounters this year that may have caught you off guard, but let me tell you, none of what you have gone through and none of what you're going through now has caught God off guard. God knows all. He is a God that never sleeps nor slumbers. He knows all things. So what am I saying? He knows all things. He knew what you were going to go through. He already knew you were going to be at this point, and he already knows what's coming next. He is a God that will guide your footsteps, right? So he's got this. If he knew all that, he already has an end for you. He already knows how the ending is going to play out. It's all in his hands. It didn't catch him off guard. He knows how to make this end in his timing, the way he wants it to end. You'll bring forth the baby. You will birth forth and burst forth the baby when he sees right. He is the great physician, right? He is the doctor in the office with you as you push and bring forth what he has for you to birth. So he has an expected end, and there's something special about that. It's one thing if God said, okay, I'm going to come up with some type of ending of all this. It's one thing for him to do that, but for God to say I have an expected end, that's even better. I love to know that God has an expected end, not just something that he just kind of made up because he didn't have nothing else better to do. He already has it in mind how this is going to play out. He has an expected end. He expects it to end a certain way. And so with that said, just as he has an expected end for you, you must now have an expectation. You must now expect an end to the madness. You must now have it in your mind, okay, I know that all this is going on, but God has an expected end for me of all this. He has an expected end, and in due time, this is going to be over. It's not going to be chaotic. I don't have to deal with any evil. This is going to be peaceful. It's going to be at the right place at the right time. I may not have all the answers. I can't tell everybody what they want to know or what they want to hear right now. I don't have it all together. I don't have it all figured out. But I know that my life is in God's hands, and he is the one that does have it figured out. Not only does he have an end, he doesn't have to make up an end. He already has an expected end. So now it's time for me to have it in me to know that there is an expected end. I now have to believe in an expected end. I now have to expect the end that the Lord has expected for me. That's the mindset that you have to be in this final month of 2019. God has an expected end for me of all of this that I've been going through this year. A peaceful one, not one that is evil. You have to have expectations, and that's the key word. You are expecting. You right now, you're in a period in which you are expecting. You're expecting God to move. You're expecting to give birth. You're expecting an expected end. You are expecting. And that should ring a bell to you when it comes to pregnancy, saying I'm expecting or we're expecting. Because a lot of times in the natural, when women are pregnant, what do they say? They'll rub their belly and they'll say, I'm expecting. Right? Or if they're a married couple, we're expecting, like the guy's going to give birth. But anyway, but she says that she's expecting, and it's just a way of her saying, I know that I'm pregnant. So I'm expecting to give birth. So she doesn't see the baby. right? She doesn't see it, but she feels it in her gut. And that's what I was talking about, having that gut feeling. You've got that stirring in you. You've got that gut feeling that you know something is up. Even though you can't see it, even though you don't see it, even though you don't know how it's going to play out, you know something's there and you know it's stirring up and you know something is about to happen. That's how you're feeling spiritually. Similar to a pregnant woman. She doesn't see the baby, but she feels something down in there. And she says, I'm expecting. I'm expecting. So that's what she'll say. And then as time goes by, the stomach continues to grow. Right? There's growth. That's what's been happening to you this year. You've grown a lot. There's been a lot of growth in you. Right? Because I talked about maturity, being more emotionally stable, being more mentally stable, right? There's growth. So you don't know what's going on still, but you've seen growth. That is something that you've seen, but there's still a lot you don't see, but you know there's growth there, and you still got that gut feeling about something, right? So that's been the development of your quote-unquote pregnancy, so to speak. And again, this can apply to you whether you're male or female, because this is spiritually speaking, okay? But I'm using a woman in the natural giving birth to kind of put this into perspective, using it as an example, as a tool to put this into perspective for you. So she starts to see growth. And so then after a while, as she sees the growth, other people notice the growth. And people may come up to the woman and say, how far along are you? And it's just their way of asking, how many months pregnant are you? Because we usually go by like a 9-month scale, right? So she'll say, I'm 7 months pregnant, I'm 8 months, I'm, 6 months, whatever. She's just letting you know how far along she is, but she's letting you know the progress. And again, when you see the Lord blessing you, you know you're making progress. You look back and you see what the Lord has done. You see how you've grown. And so you may express it. You may even say out loud to people, man, that would have made me mad, but it don't even faze me now. And you're not just saying it to make it seem like it doesn't bother you. You really mean it. So now people are questioning you about the growth, because now they see the growth, and now you're showing them how far along you are. See how this kind of balances out? It kind of ties together. So they ask you how far along you are, and you explain how far along you are in your growth. And what you're really explaining is how far along you are in your spiritual pregnancy, so to speak. So then, when the woman starts getting really close to the 9-month ending of her pregnancy, someone may come along and ask, when are you due? Because they're looking at that big belly and they're probably thinking, man, this woman is due anytime. I'm just curious to know when exactly she's due. So a person may ask the woman, when are you due? Or they'll say, when is the baby due? Which is the name of this sermon. When's the baby due? So they'll ask, when is the baby due? When are you due? And the woman many times will give the date of when her doctor has estimated for the baby to be ready to come out. So the woman may say, oh, I'm due, November 15th. I'm due January 18th. I'm due February 7th, right? Whatever. But how many of you know sometimes it doesn't play out that way? Sometimes she may give birth on that day that the doctor estimated. Sometimes the woman may give birth days prior to that. Sometimes due to complications, the doctor may try to induce the labor and make her try to have the baby sooner than what he originally anticipated. And sometimes the baby decides to chill out a little bit longer in the mommy cave, and he just and it just sticks around in there chilling out, eating, doing whatever it's doing. And it might not come out until days or a week or 2 weeks after the doctor says that it's supposed to arrive. So sometimes it doesn't come out exactly when the doctor believes it's going to arrive. Some babies, they're just tricky like that. They have you thinking it's going to play out one way, and then it plays out totally different. But that happens sometimes. And so I say that to say this. You may be thinking, well, the Lord hasn't revealed to me exactly what day some big spectacular thing is going to happen in my life. And that's a good thing, because sometimes you may have people around you that the enemy may use to try to be nosy, to try to ask questions, and they may act like they're concerned and that they care about your well-being, but deep down they know that the Lord is about to bless you, and they're jealous or envious of the favor in your life. Or maybe it's not them, maybe it's just someone else wanting to know your business, but they use someone that you're close to get information from you, right? And then that person can go and tell somebody behind the scenes your business. They want to know when you're due, but not because they're excited about the baby. They're not excited. Not everybody's going to be excited about your baby. Many will, but many won't. Some people are not going to be excited about your baby. And it's good that you're at the point where you are now, where it's not going to bother you. You see the changes in you where certain things just ain't going to bother you. You're not going to be offended when certain folks are not happy and don't celebrate your baby. They won't celebrate your baby. They won't celebrate your baby in the natural. They won't celebrate your future wedding. They won't celebrate you getting your own house. They're not going to celebrate you moving. They're not going to celebrate you getting out of debt. They're not going to celebrate you paying off the house, paying off the student loan, paying off the car. They're not going, come on. They're not going to be excited about you getting your second car or your truck or your motorcycle. They're not going to be excited about they're not going to be excited about the new job. They're not going to be excited about the promotion. They're not going to be excited about the raise. They're not going to be excited about all these other people offering you jobs that you didn't even apply for because they feel like they should get it, and they're mad that you got recommended for the job when you didn't apply for it, but they did apply for it and they applied for it more than once, but they're mad because the folks ain't looking at them, they're looking at you. Come on. Right? So some folks ain't gonna be excited. You see, they weren't excited about a lot of other things that played out in your life, the blessings that did happen this year. So you already know there's gonna be folks that are not excited about the baby, and that's okay. That is a-okay. Because at the end of the day, if you gotta celebrate all by yourself and it's just you and Jesus partying it up, so be it. Right? You've come too far, and it's going to be you doing the labor pushing. You come too far, and you're pushing too hard to be butthurt that somebody else ain't celebrating with you. You celebrate all by yourself. You've done so much. You've done too much to not celebrate all by yourself. You can't let everybody else bring you down to size. All that's going to do is stress you out and cause complications in the birth, and you don't need that. You listen, you already got enough on your plate as it is right now with all this seesawing going on, right? You don't need no extra unnecessary drama, chaos, stress on you right now. You don't need it. This is not the time to let others come in that ain't been studying you all year to come in and start bombarding you with all their drama and nonsense. This ain't the time. It might not seem to them like you got a lot on your plate, but you got enough right now as it is. You got enough. You don't need what's on their plate too. You're good. You're good. Right? So I'm here to give you the answer, and the answer is any day now. You know, some women, they're so close to that due date Or maybe they're on the date and they haven't had the baby, or maybe they're after that date, but they don't even say a day anymore. They just say any day now, which is accurate. They just say I'm due any day now. And that's the answer to the question. When is your baby due? Literally any day now. Any time now, any day, any hour now, any time now, it is due. Any time now. All you've got to do is not let all these negative outside influences that may be wanting to come in at the last minute influence you, distract you, disrupt you, cause a miscarriage. You don't need it. You don't need it right now. Nope. They weren't around when you were struggling. Now all of a sudden they're in your ear about all their 5011 problems. Nope. It's not you being mean. It's not you not being a good enough Christian and not acting like you're caring enough. It's not that. Right now, you got to be on a mission. And the mission is that baby and getting it out and seeking the Lord and having a spirit of expectancy, staying focused on the Lord. Not on what the enemy is trying to tell you, not on what these negative Nancys are trying to tell you about how you ain't ever going to amount to nothing and how you're going to fail and how you're going to fall on your face and how it's not going to work out and it's not going to go through and where is God now and it seems like he would have did something by now, and it seems like if you were going to have that business by now, you would have had it. If you were going to have that ministry right now, you would have had it. If you were going to have that church, you would have had it by now. If you were going to get married, you would have been married by now. Look at how old you are. Look at all the years you've wasted. Come on. So you got to tune it out. You got to tune it out. This is not the time for it. This is not the time to entertain it. Not a good time. It's like you're trying to run and make a home run, and now somebody wants to come and stand in front of you and be like, right, waving their hands around, looking their tongue out, making faces, dancing just to try to distract you. Nope, don't even look. It don't matter if the crowd is cheering or laughing at something else going on the field. You just act like you don't see it, you don't hear it, right? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, right? You just keep going. You just keep going till you make that home run. Then when the home run is made, if you want to look and see what's so funny and what's so amazing or so awesome, then you can look. But right now, you've got to stay focused. Because what you're running towards this home run, where you're going next, is more important than what's going on behind you. It's that simple. Where you're going is greater than what is behind you. Let me share something real quick. So, some years ago, I had a friend who it seemed like God had really linked us up to work on some things, to work on some projects and stuff together. And as time went by, we did what we had to do. We kind of drifted apart because we had our own individual things that we were doing. I had, Cow Power Ministries that I had started up, and I was just focused on different things than what my friend was focused on. She was more business oriented with her workplace and her goals in the workplace, and I had the ministry thing going on, and we just, we still had contact and everything, but we weren't spending as much time together. We kind of had our own things that we had to focus on. And so anyway, that happened, and then earlier this year, she contacted me, and there was a specific type of project that she felt like the Lord was leading her to start working on. And she thought that I would be a great person to ask to help her out in this endeavor. And I was very excited about it, very gung ho about it. I let her know any way that I could help her, I would. Da 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 da. So I'm like, okay, and I sat and I talked with her on some things. I gave her some ideas, some tips and things. And I went home, and it really seemed like the Lord um, really just had me reevaluate some things, and I really feel like the Lord was revealing to me that I really wasn't the person to help her in this matter. In fact, this was more of a matter that she really wasn't going to need a whole lot of help from people on. It was more of an individual endeavor. It was something that she was really going to have to seek him specifically on. She was going to have to seek the Lord on, and not so much other people to guide her in this particular task that God had for her. Sometimes God will link you up with people. I call them divine connections. He'll link you up with the right people for certain tasks or projects or endeavors. But sometimes you have, instead of a group, you may only have a few people or a couple of people or one person. And some things you just do alone with the Lord. And so I had to break the news to her that I was not going to be helping her after all with this project. But I wanted to share, I went back and dug through some old messages, and I screenshotted them because I wanted to share it, because I felt like this went along so well with the content of this sermon. And so this was the message that I had sent to her back in May, I believe. This is what I said. So just out of nowhere, I sent this text. I said, pregnancy in the spiritual realm is similar to being pregnant in the natural realm. In the natural, you go through a 9-month process in which the baby grows and the mother matures and prepares for the arrival of her baby. And in the spiritual realm, you are pregnant with a baby known as purpose. You go through a process in which you and purpose grow and come into maturation. In the natural, you give birth in a closed off room at the hospital in which not everybody can come in. Only a certain few people can be in that room during the pushing and birthing. Let me see. Okay, yes, it is the same in the spiritual realm. When you're ready to give birth, not everybody can go into that room with you. Even some of the people that are closest to you are not allowed inside until after the baby has arrived. So I said that, I sent that to her, and then after that I said some more stuff, um, just breaking it to her, breaking the news to her that I wasn't going to be in the room with her, so to speak, as she goes through this process. But I ended it by saying this. I said, this is your baby. Your in all capital letters. This is your baby. And if this is truly your purpose or truly your heart's desire, you've got to pray, push, and pursue with all your might. Again, what you're going after won't be easy, but it is totally worth the fight. And you're a fighter. You can do this. I'm rooting for you, friend. Best wishes, and may God bless you. I can't wait to see how the good Lord uses you. And so that's what I sent to her. But that pretty much that says it all right there. Not everybody can be with you in that room when you're doing those final pushes. That's why you've had a lot of people walk away. That's why you felt people switch up on you. You before you even saw the signs of people switching up on you, you felt it. You knew people were just acting different and acting funny towards you and acting funny around you. And it just seemed like people just kind of disappeared, and sometimes people have to separate to work on things in their life. They got their own lives to live. But in some cases, you've had people walk away where it just seemed like nothing was different in their life. It's not that they had something new that they had to work on. They just kind of dumped you, whether it was a relationship or a friendship or, any little thing. But that's why. That's why God had to allow that separation to play out between you and certain other folks that could have been detrimental to this birthing process or to that final push. And so maybe that's why you feel alone now, but because you're not so sad and depressed about the loneliness in such a way that you can stand it, that you can keep your focus, unlike in the past. You're not letting depression sink in. You're like, okay, it's just me, but I'm still focused. It's because of that that you're able to be at this point where you can bring forth what God wants to bring forth through you. So understand, this is a good thing. Something good is about to happen. And I'll wrap this up by sharing this. I didn't even expect this sermon to even be this long. It's already 40 minutes in, but it's okay. I'm about to end this. So something that I've noticed, you know, last week was Black Friday. And we know how that is. On the night of Thanksgiving, sales start, and then all the way into the morning and all the way through that next day, Friday, different stores have these huge sales, and not only physical stores, but also even online. You get on your computer, you go online, and there's different stores and sites online where you can buy things. They have huge sales, 25% off, 40% off, 50% off, 60% off, 75% off, store-wide sale. Everything's on sale, right? And so you see all these ads, these advertisements, these pictures that come in your mail letting you know of which stores are having sales and what type of hot items are going to be on sale. And you see it on TV and you see it on the internet. And like I said, you get it in the mail and you get emails about it and you get the stickers and the coupons, and it's everywhere. It's everybody advertising, letting you know, hey, there's a sale at this place at this time, and it's a big sale. You don't want to miss it, right? That's how it is right before Black Friday. That week of Black Friday, it's just an explosion of advertisements letting you know, hey, a big sale is coming. And we see this every year. And one of the things that we see sometimes is you'll have some stores, they advertise the stuff that's on sale, but they'll have certain items that they just know is really gonna sell. I mean, really gonna sell, and they call those items doorbusters, right? It's like, okay, this is all good stuff that's on sale, but this stuff right here, these are gonna be doorbusters. You really don't want to miss this, because these are just gonna go flying off the shelf. That's basically what they're saying. It's so good that they just know you're going to bust the door of the store wide open to hurry up and get in there and buy those particular items. It's a doorbuster item. So we see that here and there, but it seemed like this year the doorbuster thing was like a big thing this year. Like everybody was saying doorbuster. Everybody. Doorbuster, this is a doorbuster item. This is a doorbuster sale. You don't want to miss this doorbuster. Like everybody was saying doorbuster this year. I'm thinking doorbuster, ghostbuster, Buster Bunny, like. But anyway, for those that remember Tiny Toon Adventures, you had Buster Bunny, Babs Bunny. They were kind of like the spin-off of Bugs Bunny. But anyway. So everybody was saying doorbuster. And because of that, there were certain memes that started popping up on social media. And what it was this, this time of year, we talk about the birth of Jesus, right? Because it's almost Christmas time, right? The end of November, the beginning of December, we start getting ready to prepare for Christmas. So we start talking about Jesus when he was a baby, the baby Jesus, right? The baby in a manger, and the three wise men, and they got to follow the stars to find the baby Jesus, right? We gold, myrrh, and frankincense. We know the story, right? So we talk about the birth and the life of Jesus. That's what we talk about here during the winter time. And then in the springtime, around April or so, we talk about the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. Why? Because in the springtime, you've got Easter. So wintertime, you got Christmas, where you talk about the birth and life of Jesus. Springtime, you talk about the death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. And when you talk about the resurrection of Jesus, what do you think of? You think of him coming out of the tomb, right? We think of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ coming out of the tomb, and the angel standing by letting people know the Lord has risen, right? He see, the tomb is empty, the Lord has risen. So that's usually how it's been. You know what is going to be talked about when it comes to Jesus, depending on the time of the year. But it's funny because this year, this winter has been different, because already the big focus, instead of it being on the birth of Jesus, the big thing on social media has been the resurrection of Jesus. And the reason why is because you've got memes going on online where it's basically comparing doorbusters, right? Black Friday sales and doorbusters to the resurrection of Jesus. And what they'll do is they'll have these pictures, these animated pictures online, that it'll show like the tomb that Jesus was in being open, and it'll say something clever like, Jesus coming out of the tomb was the biggest doorbuster ever, right? They're comparing him coming out of the tomb to a doorbuster. Get it? Right? The tomb opening, door busting wide open. So they're saying that this is the actual biggest doorbuster ever, right? Those sales aren't the big doorbusters. Jesus coming out of the tomb was the big doorbuster. So because doorbuster was such a big thing this past Black Friday, more so than ever, it brought the attention to death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, when this is usually the time of year where we would be talking about the birth and life of Jesus. So what I'm saying is, this go around, this coming into winter has been different from past years, right? And this ties back into what I was talking about earlier, about how for you this year has been different than past years. Well, when it comes to commercialism in the media, it's been different because we've been so focused on the death, burial, and resurrection instead of the birth and the life, the way we normally would be this year. It's almost as if it's spring right now instead of about to be winter right now. It's kind of flip-flopped right now. And so I'm using that example to basically say to you that it's about to be the same way for you, spiritually speaking. In other words, even though in the natural it's about to be winter, this month brings winter, it's almost as if for you this month is about to bring spring. It'll feel like spring in your life, because you see, in the winter time, all the things that did not die off in nature during the fall finishes the process of dying out. The leaves finish falling from the trees, and then they're not the pretty brown yellow colors that fall brings. They just die out, right? The grass is dried out, everything's just dried out and dead, right? That's what winter brings. But spring brings life and growth, right? Everything starts to grow back and be pretty and bright and colorful again, right? That's what I'm saying. This is going to be different for you. This winter is going to be different, because even though it's cold outside, on the inside it feels like spring, because things are about to spring forth in your life like never before. I guess you could say that when you birth forth whatever you're going to birth forth and it bursts forth, it's basically going to bust through some doors. You're going to have a doorbuster on your hands. And a lot of people are not going to like it. I'm going to pray us out here. Heavenly Father, I thank you for another time to minister a word. Lord, I pray that those who would need this word, that they would tune in, that they would hear it, that they would receive it. And Lord, that they would get to a place, Lord, that they would understand that all these things that they have went through wasn't for nothing. It's not going to come to naught. It's not going to waste away. There's not going to be a miscarriage this time. But Lord, you do have an expected end for them. You've got an expected end for your people. One that you've already seen coming. Lord, this is a time in a lot of people's lives where you're about to flip the script. The enemy thought he had it figured out. He thought he had it all plotted out of how your people were going to fall on their faces, how things were not going to play out, Lord. A lot of people have tried to use deceitfulness and manipulation and witchcraft against your people, Lord. But God, you've got this on lock, and at a time where people least expected, where enemies least expected, where the devil least expected, Lord, you're going to show up, you're going to show out, you're going to flip the script, the tables are going to turn, Lord, and you're going to have a table prepared for your people in the midst of their enemies, Lord. Lord, I thank you right now for what you're going to do in the lives of your people, Lord. I pray that this will be a very, very blessed month, and an unusually blessed month for your people, Lord. I pray that culmination is a key word this month, that things begin to come to a climax, a pinnacle, an ending, so a new thing can begin. Lord, let it be as warm as spring on the inside of your people, Lord. Warm our hearts, Lord. Soften the hardness of our hearts, Lord. Let us have a soft, warm heart. Let it be spring in us. Even though it's winter on the outside, Lord, let your people be a people that when other folks see your people, they look and they see something different in the eyes of your people. The eyes being the gateway of the soul. They look in the eyes of your people and they see a glow, and that glow is the springtime that's going on the inside, even though it's winter everywhere else. Lord, I thank you. I give you the praise, glory, and honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.